What is going on, fam? Hey, everybody, it's your boy Ro coming at you. I'm so excited. We have a special Gilmore Girls panel today. I can't wait to hear anything and everything. And if you're wondering what this is, maybe you noticed something a little bit different about me lately. It's the merch. Check this out. Yo, we just got these bad boys in. If you go to our merch store on our website, check this out. You can go ahead and get this glow-in-the-dark special edition October mask that Fanix has gone ahead and made when we partnered up with the people over at Huge Brands. You can also get this amazing summertime tee. Hey, in here, like, summer's just a state of mind, right? So I'm dressing like it's warm, especially here in Utah. Lanyards, everything. Yo, we can go ahead and hook you up. Make sure you check out our merch store while you're purchasing tickets to our next event in 2021. And remember that this event is brought to you by our good friends over there, right there, right here, boom, over at Siegfried and Jensen. If you can, go ahead and check them out for any and all of your legal needs. And now, without further ado, before we get to the panel, I want to go ahead and tell you guys one special little secret that Fanix has been keeping in its pocket. Tuesday, October 20th, we have a special virtual panel with Michael Gross and John Heater. Yes, that is right. The people from the new Tremors movie, Shrieker Island, are going to be in the house. We have a free public panel. Ask them any and all questions about Tremors, about any of their projects, all that stuff. You're not going to want to go ahead and miss it. Make sure you stay tuned to all of our social media channels for more information on that. And also a special one-on-one virtual meet and greet opportunity that you may have with them at the end. So without further ado, what you guys came here to see is the Gilmore Girls panel. Let's go ahead and bring over our moderator, Mr. Patrick, in the house. What is going on, my friend?
Hello, everybody, and I'd like to welcome you to this Stars Hollow town meeting. I was going to conduct with a gavel. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a hold of one. Right now, Mitch McConnell is holding all the gavels, and he did not want to share. So...
Patrick, I love it, dude. Hey, I'm going to go backstage. I'm going to go ahead and bring in your panel, okay?
So we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Patrick Gibbs. I am a filmmaker and the film critic for Slug magazine. And I'm kind of a mainstay of Fanix. I just love it. And I am a passionate Gilmore Girls fan. So we're going to go ahead and introduce our panelists. Let's go to James.
Hi, I'm James Thompson. I am the author of the Lineage Saga, and I have been coming to Fanix for a long time. I can't think of how long I've been coming, but I'm a Gilmore Girls fan. My wife introduced me to Stars Hollow, and I love it.
Cool. All right, Theresa.
Hi, I'm Theresa Sanford. I actually teach middle school math in the south end of the Salt Lake Valley, but I've been coming to Fanix regularly. I love to cosplay, love to take pictures with celebrities. My students love looking at those pictures. Do a lot of other stuff in theater and all the things, but Gilmore Girls has been a part of my heart for longer than I can't remember a time really that I wasn't in love with Gilmore Girls. And I actually got to be a part of Patrick's trip when he met the show, and we talked about it a lot as he was coming to
Very true. Very much. And I have to say, if you have seen pictures of Fanix cosplay, you've seen Theresa, because her cosplay is always amazing. The Wicked cosplay, I'm sure you've seen
my
that.
best friend and I dressed up as the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda for a couple of times, and that is the most attention I've ever had before. It was fun and crazy.
All right, Bianca.
Hi, my name is Bianca Velasquez. I am the managing editor over at Slug magazine. I also do just artwork on the side under the name Tiny Messy. And Pono and I are big Gilmore Girls fans. We love Stars Hollow, and we love having kind of competitions with Lorelai on who can talk faster. So it's great.
Awesome. So really quickly, we're going to talk about how we all became Gilmore Girls fans. For me, Theresa mentioned, so I've known Theresa literally since we were kids. My twin brother and I and Theresa were the three little pigs in a play back in 1989.
Yep.
Yeah. we go back that far. Theresa is one of many people that has pushed, you should watch Gilmore Girls over the years. And so I came really late into the fandom. I actually had never watched Gilmore Girls until last year. And what happened was I binged season 1 of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and my jaw dropped. Just this is the greatest thing ever. I have to have more now. More. Who is this Amy Sherman Palladino, and what else has she done? And I looked it up, and she created Gilmore Girls. So I started binging Gilmore Girls, and I have never stopped binging Gilmore Girls. I just can't get enough of it. So I didn't experience it while it was on, but in a way, I'm kind of glad for that for 2 reasons. One, I'm a much stronger feminist now than I was back then. I've always been a bit of one, but I'm kind of an obsessive one now. And 2, it's this really nice nostalgia trip to the early 2000s that, boy, it makes me feel old to be talking about being nostalgic for that time, but I just enjoy it on that level. But yeah, I adore the show, and it's my comfort. It's just tuning into Stars Hollow. All right. Let's go. James, tell us about you getting pulled into Gilmore Girls. How did you get introduced to Stars Hollow?
Well, I got pulled into Stars Hollow because my mother and my sister-in-law started watching it. And it was kind of on my periphery for a little while. Then I got married. And my wife said, "You've got to watch this series. It's amazing. I love it. And you'll love it too." And I said, "Okay, all right, we'll watch it." And I started watching it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is my home. This is my hometown. These people I know. I know these people." And then I got to know the character Kirk. And I was like, "This is me. This is completely me. I've had every job in my hometown. And I'm weird like this." And I loved the show from the get-go. And the writing was on point. I loved the writing. The comedy was excellent. And just every character in that town was every character in my hometown. And I was hooked from day one. And everything that Amy Sherman Palladino has done from then on, from Gilmore Girls to Bunheads to The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I'm in love with. I mean, she and her husband can write. Absolutely.
Boy, can they write. And they can direct also.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things for me about Maisel is it's so cinematic. The direction of it. You know, there's a lot in this day and age, in the age of streaming, there's a lot of television. In fact, I started reviewing limited run shows as well as film because the gap between them is more narrow than ever. And the show Maisel just feels so cinematic. But boy, it's the writing. But I often, to me, and some people would crucify me for this, but I don't care. But I watched Gilmore Girls and thought, not Gilmore Girls, I'm sorry, Maisel. I thought, okay, this is, if Woody Allen could actually stop being so hyper and actually direct like he was making a movie, it would be this. That I just am in awe of their talent. All right, Bianca, how did you get pulled into Gilmore Girls?
So my first experience with Gilmore Girls was actually, when the show was on the WB at the time. It was called, which is now the CW.
Yeah.
And the early aughts. This was when I was, under like 10 years old or so, and learning what by the women on television, what being a grown-up is going to be like, or what I have to look forward to. And so Gilmore Girls was definitely one of the shows that I would watch with my 3 sisters. And we'd be like, oh my gosh, I want that bag. And I want to be just like Lorelai when I grow up. And I want to run an inn. And I want to be a journalist and all these things. And one of those things I ended up doing. So it's one of those shows that really molded me at that critical time in my life. And then again, I watched it over maybe, I would say, like 4 years ago, and it was definitely, I'll echo what Patrick said, it was my comfort show. It's the show that I watched when I got home and like needed to decompress and feel safe and feel like warm, and Stars Hollow is like my place for that. It's my happy place for sure.
Absolutely, mine too.
Yeah.
All right, Theresa.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think like it's been so long, it's hard for me to remember when I got into Gilmore Girls. I'm pretty sure it was while I was still a stay-at-home mom with little kids. And again, it was while it was on the WB. I remember the crazy change to the CW, and I was like, wait, what? And I think I probably jumped in. I'm guessing it was around season 3. And I think I just found it, like in the olden days, we used to just flip channels. Like that was the thing we used to do. And I found this show, and it's interesting over the years how my perspective has changed. At first, I think I empathized a lot with Rory. In the younger years, I read a lot. I, was a little socially awkward, all of that stuff. And I have never not been watching the show. Like it's, I'm always, and in fact, now that it's on different platforms, I've got them at home and I've got them on the Netflix, and so it's like, oh, I'm in this place. I'm in the mood to be in this season this time, or I'll be over here. Like I'm constantly watching. Now I'm watching it with my husband. I'm watching it with my daughter, and it's never not a part of my life. But for the exact same reasons that you guys have already stated, it's a safe place. It's a comfortable place. I don't know if y'all have seen the articles that have gone around that say that people with depression and anxiety tend to rewatch shows because it's safer. They know what's going to happen. And that's definitely been an issue for me for a lot of years. And so going back to Stars Hollow and being in that safe place has really been important in my life, actually.
Thank you for sharing that. It's very definitely a truth about rewatching shows, and it's important to have those kinds of shows, and it's really become one for me. I have to laugh at the way we're all talking, like there's a little bit of Luke here in the, like in my day, we had to search channels and we had to record it, and it wasn't called the CW, it was the WB, and we just took it as it was, and it wasn't streaming either. You had to wait for it to come on, and it was fine for us to wait to come on because that's what we did. Yeah.
In my day, people didn't view themselves as above having to get up and walk across the room and change the channel. And we only had 4 channels, not 200.
I think about Luke a lot in the certain situation that we're in now. And I feel like, I know exactly what he would say about COVID and what he would say about the election and all these things. I carry Luke with me every day, for sure.
I do too. And that leads to my next thing. My next question for the whole panel, which is, which character do you most identify with? I love Luke. What you say about Luke and COVID. The interesting thing is that I believe strongly that Luke would adjust to social distancing better than most people in Stars Hollow.
I think he did social distance.
He did. But Luke would also be the guy that was checking in on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And everyone who didn't have something that couldn't get it, it would show up at their door from Luke wearing a mask. And that's why I love Luke so much. To me, I love that Luke and Lorelai got together because I feel I am Luke and Lorelai squished into one person. So I'm not at all the outdoorsy, hunty, fishy kind of guy that Luke is. I am much more all of the crazy film and TV references that they make on Gilmore Girls. The number of those that I get almost embarrass me. Like it's a cross between that is awesome and I have wasted my life, but with just the sheer amount of silly media stuff I have in my head. Like, for example, when Kirk is talking about how he wants to be a director, and he says, in my heart, I am Akira Kurosawa. And he's, no, not Akira Kurosawa. Who's the guy that directed all the episodes of Facts of Life? So I told that to my brother. I told my brother about that bit. And he says, all I got to was the guy that directed all those episodes of Facts of Life. And he turns to me and goes, Assad Kalada? He's talking about Assad. That's how much my brother and I are Lorelai and Rory in terms of our media junkie mindset. So I just love that. But there's just the combination of surly and good-hearted of Luke, and just the way he cares about people. I love him that way. I mean, I would marry Luke if I could.
It's funny.
I'd marry Lorelai too. But
he is, the I feel like the one with the biggest heart in the show, but he's also the meanest.
Yeah.
Everyone that he loves, which is I don't know. I think that combination is so funny. The way that he will kick out everybody from the restaurant, pay for their food, but kick them out to drive Lorelai to the hospital. It's an interesting dynamic.
All right. So, anybody thoughts on? I think we already. James said that Kirk was him. Theresa. Who are you?
Have a hard time answering that. Like I said, depending on what stage in my life, it changes who I relate to the most. So at the beginning, it was really more Rory, and as I've gotten older and my kids have gotten older, I definitely can empathize a lot more with Lorelai. But I love to bake. I make cakes, and so like the cooking side of Suki and her goofiness and her like Suki, Suki. If I had to choose one, I'd go Suki.
Agreed. And that, I mean, I told people when I was bringing you on for this panel, Theresa is Suki. But that's the thing here is I'm talking about who you identify with. Like anybody who knows Theresa is going to say Suki. And that's very much a part of her. But something I love about the cast of characters is that, like she says, depending on what time you are, you can relate to each of them. I have been Dean. I have been Jess. I have been Rory. I have been
Miss Patty and Babette.
Yeah, there's absolutely.
In Babette's storyline that I'm like, yes, I would throw a cat funeral. I absolutely would. I'd have a wake and a party for my cats. Like, absolutely.
I've absolutely been Richard Gilmore. When he lost his job, I very much went through that and can empathize with it. So you can be any one of those characters
and Patrick,
at different times.
We've talked about this, the fact that the Paladinos did such a good job of making every character human. They all have their flaws and they all have their redeeming qualities. And
absolutely,
that really does give you an opportunity to empathize with every single one of them at times. Even the times like Taylor drives me freaking nuts. But the times when he lost that election, like
absolutely,
your heart does go out to him. And so I think that's one of the amazing things about this show is you can feel the humaneness of every single character.
Absolutely.
There's no hate in the show, except maybe for like mornings and little things. But in terms of hate for people, that you do not hate anyone, even the most characters like Jess's dad, Christopher. There are times that I just want to scream at him, but I don't hate Christopher at all. There's love for every one of them, no matter how incredibly flawed they are. I mean, even Mitchum Huntsberger has a couple of moments where it's like it's not much to like, but I can at least, I'm introduced to his point of view at moments. It's just really marvelous. All right. So moving on, favorite moments from the show.
I think we've got a question.
Do we have a question? Okay. Yeah, we got it. Team Logan and
oh dang. I'm definitely not Team Dean. Like, the controlling issues he had, I have a real personal issue with. That he was very stifling, controlling, jealous. Like, that really rubs me the wrong way. There were definitely aspects for me about Jess and Logan that I liked, but all said and told, and I know, Patrick, you're not going to like this, but I'm Team Logan. I'm Team Logan. Unapologetically, I'm going to go there. I'm not going to apologize for it. Team Logan. Yep. Woo!
Bianca and I already mentioned, neither of us I really don't like Logan. I don't even like Rory when she's with Logan. One of my favorite moments is when Jess tells Rory off and gets her back on track. I will say that my second time through, I warmed up to Logan a lot and saw a side of him that I like. I don't think they belong together. And here's where the difficulty for me answering the question. On some level, I like all three. For some reason, I really care about Dean as a person. And I find some moments of their relationship sweet. I ultimately don't think they belong together. Don't like how it ended. My favorite of the three is going to be Jess, but especially the second time through, holy cow, what a terrible boyfriend he was. He was just a creep. So here's the thing. I'm going to say Jess, but it's not about the relationship between Jess and Rory. I couldn't care less. It's about the relationship between Jess and Luke. That is possibly my favorite aspect of the series. I will also just throw in the moments when I am most invested in Rory's relationships are the moments where they connect, the boyfriends connect emotionally with Lorelai. And I think that's why I'll always have a little bit of a soft spot for Dean, even though he was such an immature and controlling boyfriend, is because that point where he and Lorelai became friends touched me. I am a total emotional softie. Well, admit it, and it's my warm fuzzy cry show.
You know, I'm gonna say I am Team Dean. I really loved the way that, I mean, yeah, he was annoying in the sense of like when you're in your first relationship, they were all both trying to navigate how they reacted to each other in situations, especially like I'm rewatching season 2 right now, and I'm seeing how he was very sensitive about like Rory trying to get ready for Harvard and the time he doesn't get to spend with her. Things like that.
No, like he fought her on that though. It's like, you studied last night, today it's my day, and yet she's having a freak out and he freaks out on her. Like, he
also built her a car.
saying that.
Yeah, I think there was a certain amount of give and take. I'm also just going to go back, not to gang up, but I will say, and this is jumping ahead to the question of year in the life, but of the three, the only one who had not grown into an adult by year in the life was Logan.
Absolutely. And I won't argue that. And in fact, he backpedaled because
which was disappointing.
One of the things I liked best about him was his character arc and the fact that he came into his own in season 7, and he got his own power, and I really liked that. And then in A Year in a Life, he was working for his dad again. Like, he slid back, and I absolutely agree with that. There for me though, again, I liked his character arc, and there is something for me personally about Rory getting to explore that kind of space. And I think it's something that I never had in my own life, being able to kind of embrace kind of the irresponsibility that he represented.
Agreed.
Again, that's nothing, like I've always been the good girl. And so getting to kind of live through that a little bit through Rory, experiencing that for the first time, I think that was part of what his appeal is to me.
And this
well said.
In the year in the life is the fact that this kind of put the nail in the coffin for me for Logan, is that he was like totally cheating on his fiance with Rory, which I thought everybody was so blasé kind of about that in that, and I know that wasn't like the point.
I mean, she's French, and so I think it's not actually as frowned upon as much in that culture. Maybe that's a thing.
No.
Totally
French, I would still be mad if someone was cheating on me.
Totally fair point. Again, I'm not arguing any of those things. I was just, it's a very, I always come from an empathetic point of view, like me being the characters and being in there. And so that's why
that point with Logan, he always seemed to be like capable of those things to me, and that was my perspective with it. But that's one thing that I always liked about Dean, is that Dean unconditionally loved Rory well into his his marriage that he had. So, and I think that, there are some negative things about Dean, but definitely it was always unconditional love for Rory no matter what.
All right, so moving on to Theresa's just like, but. All right,
I stopped myself.
Yeah. So we have a question. Janice is asking, was anyone else really disappointed with the year in the life? We were talking about this beforehand. I'm just going to start quickly by saying, for me, it was a different experience than most, because as I said, I came into the show last year and binged it all. So I had no wait time going into Year in the Life. I didn't have the years of expecting it. As soon as I was done with season 3, which is not season 3, season 6, the final season, which is my disappointment, the Palladino-less season, that for the most part, I wouldn't totally like to erase it, but for me, the Luke and Lorelai marriage, not Luke and Lorelai, Christopher and Lorelai marriage is probably that's the jump the shark section of the series. So for me, it's a step up from that. There are a lot of things I really like about the show, about Year in the Life. It's not perfect. There are things that didn't quite work. I believe that it would have worked better if they had not been so timid and actually approached I'm sorry, I'm drawing a total blank. Suki, Melissa McCarthy, and said, do you want to do the show? So she could have been in the whole thing. That would have fixed some issues with the show. I think it would have been better that way, but I think it has some very strong moments. The monologue from Lorelai about Richard is great. And for me, the sequence where Emily says BS, which it's going to be on, they're going to run it on what's now the CW. And I can't figure out how they're going to work that sequence, because Emily saying that word is so important to the scene. And I don't know how they're going to do it. But so moving on to the next person.
EAR, that word?
Yeah.
They'll work it out.
Okay.
I don't know about the rest of it. So I will talk a lot because that's what I do. But for me, just the sheer possibility of going back to Stars Hollow for any amount of time, even if it had totally sucked, I would have been there. I literally watched and cried through the whole thing just to be back there again. It meant that much to me. Again, because I come from I like to put myself in the characters' places, and what Lorelai was going through. My life isn't exactly the same problems as hers, but I definitely have problems. And so her growth, realizing she's unhappy and trying to fix it, that meant a lot to me, because that's definitely where I am in my life. And sure, there were kind of weird things. Like, I didn't feel like Lorelai and Rory at the pool being super judgmental and mean about people. Like, that didn't sit super well with me. And I know a lot of people are unhappy with the musical, but that was one of my very, very favorite parts. I'm also a huge musical theater nerd. So to have Sutton Foster and Christian Boyle in Stars Hollow and it's singing this completely awful music. I mean, between them, they have how many Tonys? Like, it's ridiculous. And the fact that they did that, and it was, I wish that there was a soundtrack so that I could listen to it. My daughter and I have watched that scene so many times, and we're stars, stars, hollow. Like, we do that all the time. And the song that Sutton sings near the end of that I am breakable. Oh, yeah. And holy crap,
that sequence is great. I have mixed feelings about the musical for the simple reason that I revere Waiting for Guffman as one of the greatest things ever created. And I feel like it's in the shadow of Waiting for Guffman a lot of the time. But when it steps out of it and they do that Unbreakable song, that is really powerful. So mixed there too.
Sorry about that.
Games. Yeah.
Can we talk about Paris being fertility and a surrogate for just a second?
If we have to think about it, then yes.
I was so thrown off by that. I mean, but also like I loved having Paris there and having Paris there in that capacity and her haircut. I loved everything about it. I identify with Paris the most in that show. I think that was kind of a cheap way to include Paris, is making her that, so that that Luke and Lorelai can come into her office and like tie her in that way. I think they could have done differently than making her own this place, but and just because also we never really had closure about her career in the show either, because she was always choosing between being a doctor or a lawyer, or all these things. Yeah. She ended up starting this business, and it was weird. It was it definitely felt like a weird way to write her in.
On that note, any thoughts on where Doyle was? Did anybody have any strong opinions of that? And does anybody know why they did what they did with some of the things they did with Doyle? So it was all
like Doyle.
A lot of it was an in joke over the whole big successful Mr. Screenwriter thing. The movie Lee Daniels, The Butler, shouldn't be called Lee Daniels, The Butler. It was actually Danny Strong's The Butler. He wrote that. He's a successful screenwriter now, and it was all kind of a joke about that. But
okay,
it got kind of, it was an in joke that wasn't that interesting for those of us that actually know it, much less to the people who didn't know it.
Yeah, I didn't like that they divorced, but I get that Danny Strong is exceptionally busy and an exceptional writer. So, but I would have liked to see something different. Kill him off, maybe.
Yeah. I would have liked to have gotten to know Paris's kids if we were going to give Paris kids. And that's something that I would like to see in a, if there is another year in the life, which I want to see.
They keep talking about doing another season in the trades, which I don't read the trades. I just read the gossip. So But what I find kind of sad about this is it looks like Paris is following exactly the same pattern that her parents followed. She has a nanny that is raising her kids. So, and the nanny, which I kind of found a little sad, but also a little funny, the nanny does not want to go up the stairs in that stupid house they own.
I love running jokes like that, though. I love running jokes like that. Just they make me happy.
So I'm gonna jump to the obvious question with A Year in the Life. So one of the reasons Amy Sherman Palladino always intended for the show to end with that moment of Rory saying, "Mom, I'm pregnant." And then it didn't because she was pushed out for the final season of the show. So then they did that with A Year in the Life. I want to ask both the panelists and the audience opinions. Who is the father of Rory's baby? I am going to wait on giving my own because I think it's the most outrageous answer. But okay. So Bianca, who do you think is the father of Rory's baby?
I think it's the guy dressed in the Wookiee costume because there was no other reason for them to write him in.
I thought the same thing.
So I mean, like, why? Yeah, why have that person character? We didn't even really see him. If he wasn't important down the line somehow.
Okay.
And especially just because it's also going to introduce that element of Rory raising the kid by herself, which the same way the Lorelai.
But if they were intentionally having Rory's life mirror her mother's life, then I think have it being Logan's child, having it be the dad be the person in the rich world, but then the look that Jess gave as he was leaving the house,
I love that look.
Seem exactly the same. So Logan to Christopher and Jess to Luke. And so for me, that kind of
I find that very interesting, but at the same time, what if that look that Jess gave is in reference to something that we didn't see that happened?
Yeah, and maybe
it could be. That's a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
But my theory that I'm going to toss out there is we didn't see this character closely enough to identify its gender. I believe that it was the deer from season 1. He was a buck and he ran into her one more time.
Oh my gosh.
I thought you were going to say Paul. Like, that was the most worthless character in the whole.
No, even the actor who played Paul said, when asked about it, he said, "No, the only thing I can tell you for certain is I am not the father of Rory's baby. There is no way they would do that. Even I didn't care enough about the character to want that to happen."
Did you just write him in to have like somebody else for the audience to wonder about? Because it was really obnoxious having him in.
He was my least favorite aspect of the show because he made me dislike Rory, that she treated him the way she did.
He was also Howard.
James, do you have a different opinion? You had a different head shake.
On Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, I just even Lorelai at the end was like, who?
Yeah.
So that the entire way they treated that particular character was just like, why on earth is this guy even in here?
Yeah, I don't understand why they even put him in the show. Like, it was weird.
Yeah.
I have to really quickly jump back to clarify an important thing that is my personal favorite aspect of Year in the Life, which is that watching it now, my one running complaint with the show is that there are too many gay jokes that make me cringe. And A Year in the original Gilmore Girls, they're meant to be, I mean, none of them are necessarily mean, but they still reflect the time that gay jokes were a thing. And for me, allowing Michelle to be gay and to be open about it, when we always kind of felt the character was a nice way of kind of apologizing for being overly reliant on those jokes.
Yeah, and one thing I also noticed that actually my partner brought up was that in the series there was very, very little diversity in Stars Hollow, with the exception of Lane and Michelle. And I don't know if you noticed this, but in the town hall meeting in A Day in the Life, there was a lot more
diversity.
And I appreciated that. And I thought it was interesting because in the town hall meetings during the series, like, no diversity. So
there was Gypsy. I mean, Gypsy was another.
Yeah.
Wasn't she more Hispanic?
It was.
Yes. Gypsy and Patty were, but it still, it was a pretty white town.
Mm-hmm.
With, of course, Lane, the Kims being a big part of that, which gets me off onto, I'm just going to throw out a bit of trivia because it's important trivia to me. I am a huge Lane fan. I love everything about Lane. Does anybody out there, panel or audience, know where the name Hep Alien comes from? Can anyone tell me?
I think I've heard it once, but it's gone, right?
Gonna give a second to see if the audience answers before I tell you this.
I know that the Lane character was based on Amy Sherman Palladino's best friend, who was a producer on the show.
But she was, and her name is Helen Pye.
Thank you. My brain is like, whoo.
Yes, and Helen Pye
is an anagram of
Hep Alien. Yes.
There it is. Okay, see, it is all related. I win, kind of.
Close enough. All right, we have another fan question. Another question from the audience. Favorite moment on set?
Are we talking in front of the camera or behind the camera?
Yeah. Can we get a slight clarification? I could just like some. I have so many favorite moments on the show. Just a silly one that I come back to is I can't tell you how many times I have watched just replaying or even called somebody else into the room to watch the bit where Luke pushes Jess into the lake. That as a director, I am such a fan of how well that scene was staged, and it's so deserved. It's a great moment. It's not the best moment of the show, but it is watch over and over again favorite moment.
That definitely was one of mine. Another one of my absolute favorite, hands down, is at the end of Deep Fried Korean Thanksgiving when Suki is super drunk and Lorelai and Rory stop back and that conversation. I have watched that so many times. There is something, I don't know what it is, but that scene brings me so much joy. Like, am I laughing or crying? Laughing. Oh, good.
It's very funny.
That my favorite line is season 1, Suki, when Michelle has ennui, and then
I have ennui. I'm not well today. I have ennui.
What's the ennui? Offui. I'm cured. Like, yes, this is.
Oh, good. I am cured.
I am cured. Offui. Like, awesome. That's my. Yes. Okay. You guys go.
I think my favorite is in the first season. I think it's the first episode where Rory gets into Chilton. Lorelai runs into the kitchen to tell Suki, and Suki turns to address Lorelai, and she's got a frying pan in her hand. She zacks some guy right in the face with the frying pan. I have a 12-year-old sense of humor, but that's one that always sends me to the floor.
No, I have to mention, so I'm always hesitant to say this because I'm afraid people are going to get angry. I want to specify that I like the character. I sometimes feel, so Kirk, as a character, I feel he was the Fonzie or Kramer, the character that was a fan favorite who became more important, and one could argue perhaps took over the show a bit too much in ways, and maybe got a little too silly. It's always a delicate balance with those kinds of characters. I do like Kirk, but when Kirk is Jesus is one of my favorite. It's specifically the moment when they're going to cancel, and he starts.
You would fold.
Yeah, you would fold. That whole thing is just. I mean, I got sick. I was laughing so hard.
Bianca, have you?
The tie between and there are very simple moments. Which one of them is Kirk, and when Kirk has his silent films or like his art films that he showed for the entire. That was amazing. That was great work.
Absolutely.
And then sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
My second is probably when Lane's mom finds Lane's like her secret closet and all of her music, because I had exactly that same setup. Like, not exactly the same, but a very similar one. Growing up at home, where like I wasn't allowed to listen to like rock music, but really I was listening to Death Cab for Cutie and just getting too sad. But I identified with that moment so much, and I just loved her, like her secret world she had in her pristine, very, very clean room that was covering up like who she really was. Great. All right, so we are going to play a game now that we've all spent a little bit of time preparing. Does everybody have their questions with them? Great. So we're going to play a game of Who Said That? What we're going to do, none of us are participating as players. We're just reading them. We're going to read some Gilmore Girls quotes, some classic lines, and we want to see who can identify which character said that. All right, Bianca, I will email you my questions. Thank you. All right. So, James, would you like to go ahead and start?
Sure. Make sure. Okay. So I'll start off with one at random. See if anyone in chat can figure this one out. Let us just stand here and let the awkwardness wash over us.
Anyone? All right. And we're going to keep going. You could just type in the number of the question, the number of the quote in chat. So the next one, I hate when I'm an idiot and don't know it. I like being aware of my idiocy. So while we wait for those answers,
we got the answer to the first one, and you are correct, Melissa.
Tell us the answer.
It is Michelle. Let us just stand here and let the awkwardness wash over us.
Yes. And I have to say, that's one thing that it's yes. The answer to the second one was Lorelai. The spelling of the name, it's Michel, and I mentioned that because his name is Michel.
Michel.
Lorelai always calls him Michelle, and I think she does it just to bug him. I always felt that strongly.
I misspelled mine in my notes.
Yes.
So.
All right. Okay. This one, this is a PG-13 panel, but this line was said on television, so we can go ahead and do it. Who said this? Well, I'll just bring Dick up on the internet and see what comes up. And while we're waiting for someone to answer that, I just have to, I'm just going to share a little story that illustrates how much this show gets into our heads. As I mentioned, I'm the film critic for Slug Magazine. Bianca is editor for Slug Magazine. Bianca, do you remember when during Slam Dance, I was really getting stressed and self-conscious about a review that I was submitting in there and kind of not wanting to do it because it was a local thing where somebody might actually be able to read it, and was kind of, I was really obsessing over this because someone might actually read the review of their movie. The reason for that is because I had just watched the episode where Rory writes the review of the ballet. And I was just so sure that I was going to destroy someone with something that I had just said. Because, I mean, M. Night Shyamalan never hears the comments that I say about him. But the person who did this film for Slam Dance might. So I was really obsessing over it because of that. And Maggie Yunker has correctly answered that yes, that quote is was said by Richard Gilmore. So, all right, let's move on to our next quote. Theresa, do you have one?
Oh, this just keeps getting better and better. See, you know.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. I say it all the time.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to throw out one other one. This one's not the hardest, but I will literally die if we don't include this. Because my brain is a wild jungle of scary gibberish. Bicycle, unicycle, unitard, hockey puck, rattlesnake, monkey underpants. You can't do a Gilmore Girls panel and do quotes.
Ashley,
oh,
hi, Ashley. Nope.
Hi, Ashley. Nope. Good guess.
This just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yes. The answer to both of those was
Lorelai. Yeah. Monkey underpants. That's like a monologue I want to memorize. I have it on a mug. Like monkey, like unitard, unicycle, monkey underpants. Yes. I love this show, you guys.
Me too. I'm hoping it's a slow day at work when I leave this so I can just watch the show. Trying to find, somebody find me one that isn't Lorelai.
Oh no,
that's the hard part because I was totally going to throw out waking up the house is going through a tunnel. I love that line, but it's Lorelai.
I've got one. Bianca, do you have one? Because I don't think you've thrown one out yet.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll do this the best I can. I want to live my life so I can read an in-depth biography about myself in later years.
I know who that is.
Yeah.
Anyone? Any thoughts? Okay, I'm going to throw out another one while we're waiting on that. I want to get the healthy glow of someone who consistently goes to the gym without actually having to go, of course. You are correct, Melissa. Paris is the one that said the first quote. Anyone on the next one? Chris said, if you're talking about the first quote, yes, it's Paris. The quote about the gym. Lane is a good guess, Maggie, but no, it wasn't Lane. Michelle is a good guess. I'm going to give you who in Stars Hollow, besides Taylor, looks like they've spent the least time at the gym.
I'm pretty sure there was a juice fast involved at this point. It wasn't there. There you
Yes,
go.
it is Kirk.
There it
That
is.
is a Kirk line. All right. Anyone? James, you got another one? I know you had a lot of good ones.
I do. Call me if anyone sane walks in.
Cool. All right. Call me if anyone sane walks in. Anyone?
And then I have another one that I think I don't think we've shared a quote of this person yet.
Okay, go ahead.
You can use your mother's old golf clubs. They're upstairs gathering dust along with the rest of her potential.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that one's not a hard one, but
Liz,
Okay.
that's a good guess, but no.
I've got to admit, I don't know this one.
Melissa, you got it. That was Luke.
Cool. All right, and the next one.
wait.
Yes, Melissa, you are correct. It was Emily.
Melissa is on fire, not literally. I like this one. Hold on. I'm looking up aneurysm in our medical dictionary to see if I just had one. Ooh, I like that one.
That is a great one.
Oh, while we're waiting, do you guys remember the whole conversation as Jason was introducing Wi-Fi to Richard and Emily, and he's walking around with the laptop, and I'm gonna go look you up on the internet. No, you're not. Like,
Ashley, yes, Emily, you are correct. Yes, I do definitely remember that. On the subject of binging, binging it in retrospect, is anybody else sometimes just taken aback by how many, oh my gosh, this person was on that moments we went across, like Rami Malek in Lane's Bible group, or Brandon Routh, who is one of the nicest people I've ever met at FanX, being the first Jess, the one who talks the girls into sneaking out of the concert. There are just so many little cameos that, well, they weren't cameos of famous people at the time, but they are now, that are just really fun to mention. Can anybody name any others, or
Sebastian
any that
Bach.
jump out to you?
Sebastian
Bach. Oh yes.
Chad Michael Murray that year, and then Dave went on to be on the OC, didn't he?
He did.
And so, yeah, like they started out in Stars Hollow. Well, and then even Dean, like trying to watch Supernatural, the first 3 or 4 years, I had a hard time because there was a Sam and Dean and not the Dean and the Sam. Which one is Dean and Sam? Like,
I do that a lot. And actually, Chad Michael, this is something that only a film critic would know. Chad Michael Murray and Jared Padalecki were in a movie together. I think it was House of Wax. That it's just like a totally disposable, awful movie, but it's just the fact now that it's Sam and Dean. I'm not Sam and Dean, excuse me. Dean and Tristan in the movie just fascinates me. And you know, the interesting thing about that is so there was this terrible version of The Lone Ranger on what is now the CW, used to be the WB, starring Chad Michael Murray. And I saw that at the time. I mean, this version made the Johnny Depp one look good by comparison. It was just horrendous.
No main feet.
So for years, between those two things, I just thought Chad Michael Murray was the worst. And then I watched Gilmore Girls, and I really liked his performance as Tristan. Tristan is another character that totally unlikable, but you see a person in there at the end, and I did cry for him. I always cry for the unlikable people when you see that there's something to like about them.
Yeah, you're way nicer to Paris than I've ever been.
I am. All right, so it looks like we are running out of time, which I knew we would.
There's just so much to cover, right?
Yeah, maybe we'll talk to Netflix about doing a reunion of this panel spreading it up into several different months.
Perfect.
Because, yeah,
This
we'll see about that.
More Girls reunion October. Then we'll have we could just do one a month. We really could do one a month.
We could, definitely. And one of us will get pregnant in the end. All right. So thank you.
I got to get caught up on all this stuff. You guys are amazing. Wow. Hey, I'm sorry to crash the party. Yeah, but you know what? You can. I love it because this panel can just keep going on, and I'm just sitting there backstage going, "Wow, wait, there was a Wookiee outfit. Wait, what happened? Wait, Dean or Logan? Which team am I on? Which one do I belong to?" I know that our marketing coordinator Chelsea, she's very adamant about which team she's on and which team she's not on. So,
which team is she on? Now I need to know.
Chelsea, can we bring you in? Can you just go ahead and just give us your quick little spiel? Yeah. We'll see if she wants to go ahead and join us during this battle. But you know what? If Chelsea joins us, awesome. But I just wanted to go ahead and thank you guys once again. You guys are freaking amazing. Yeah, here we go. Chelsea, tell everybody.
I'm very adamant. No Team Dean. I will side with Jess or Logan. I dislike Dean very much.
Okay, so Team Jess. All right.
I really either way. But
no, Team Jess.
Were you able to watch Supernatural?
No, I can't even watch Supernatural because I don't like Dean at all, and I just can't.
See, now I like Dean on Supernatural. It's just the other guy.
The only Supernatural that I have seen is the in-joke bit where they're on the studio lot and passing by the Gilmore Girls set. And Jared Padalecki, he suddenly gets this really uncomfortable look on his face. That's the only part of Supernatural I've ever seen.
That was a great moment.
Yeah. Now that it's finally ending, who knows? Maybe that will be a show that I binge later on, like I did Gilmore Girls. I don't know. We'll see. But we just want to thank you guys all for tuning in. This, I so wanted to do this panel. My only regret is I should have called it Oi with the panels already. That would have been a better title.
That would have been so good.
And I just have been kicking myself for months after I submitted it. But still, I'm so grateful that we did have the chance to do it, even though we didn't have the Fall FanX. So we're just going to go ahead and sign off now. Again, my name is Patrick Gibbs. I am the film critic for Slug Magazine. And if I could just ask you, if you're on Facebook, look up Patrick Gibbs Movie Reviews and follow me on there. You'll see all of my reviews. I post up to 5 reviews a week. Yes, there are movies coming out right now, believe it or not, whether they're in theaters or streaming. So please follow me there. And thank you for coming. And our next panelist.
If you want to find me online, just go to Facebook, look up J. Christopher Thompson. You can find me there. I'm really grateful to have come onto this panel and talked with such great panelists. And let's go to the next one.
Theresa Sanford, and social media. If you need a math teacher or a cake decorator or singer, dancer, cellist, I'm your girl.
You guys, serious. Theresa's cakes that she makes. You have look her up. Look up Theresa Sanford.
I do have a cake page on Facebook. It's called TCS Cakery. And in fact, Ashley that was answering questions, I met her at Comic-Con and I made her wedding cake and it was an R2-D2.
Awesome. She made my twin brother's wedding cake.
I did.
Was Batman and Catwoman on it. She made a cake for a movie that I did. I could do a panel on Theresa's cakes.
Aww.
All right. And Bianca.
Hi, Bianca Velasquez. You can find me on Instagram under Tiny Messy, where I post about all Slug Magazine things, but also all of my artwork and music sometimes is on there. So yeah, see you on the web.
Cool.
All
Well,
right.
thank you so much, Patrick. You did amazing as always. Thank you so much to our
Thank
moderator,
you.
Mr. Patrick. Thank you to the rest of the panelists. We love and appreciate you guys. Hey, remember, if you're watching this maybe on delay and you still have more questions for the panelists, go ahead and tag them in the comment section. Go either on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever you're at. They will be free to go ahead and answer any and all of your questions. I have tons of questions about this Wookiee outfit, costume. I want to know everything about it. Just we'll be talking, and you just let me know which season, which episode. Yeah. So it seems to me that this weekend I know what I'm finally binging. Where has this show been all my life?
It's been right there in Stars Hollow,
Man.
waiting for you, just like it was for me.
You know what?
You will not regret
as soon
it.
as I watch it, I know that all these things are going to make a lot more sense. I'll be like,
Uh-huh.
oh, that's what they were. You know.
It's like when you first see Hamlet, and it's like, that's what that line is from.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, FanX family, we love and appreciate you. Like Patrick said, even though we might not have been able to go ahead and get together physically during 2020, we're still wanting to go ahead and connect with you virtually. Remember, go onto our website, fanxsaltlake.com. Go ahead and get your tickets for our next event in 2021, or stay up to date. We have newsletters. We also have social media posts, especially for that Tremors panel that's about to happen on Tuesday, the 20th, with Michael Gross and John Heater. You're not going to want to go ahead and miss out on that. It's gonna be amazing. Hey, gang, once again, thank you so much for this awesome and amazing Gilmore's panel. We love and appreciate you. We hope to see you soon, Patrick, James, Theresa, Bianca. Thank you for volunteering your time. You guys have been amazing, yeah? And to the FanX family, we'll go ahead and see you guys later. Peace.